Tonight, the U.S. Army is temporarily halting all Apache helicopter training missions after the fatal crash near Salado that claimed the lives of 2 Fort Hood soldiers. The Army said the stand down will remain in effect until investigators have a better understanding of the cause of the accident. Fort Hood tells us that the pilots were conducting a maintenance test flight and it was not a training exercise.
The Army also identified the 2 soldiers who lost their lives in that crash.
News 10's Adam Schindler has been working to get more information on the crash and the soldiers' ties to our community. He joins us live from near the Army airfield at Fort Hood. Adam, what can you tell us?
Well, the crash is still under investigation, at least the cause of it is. But they did identify the 2 soldiers who died in that crash as 25-year-old Warrant Officer Seth Olmstead and 34-year-old Chief Warrant Officer Deontre Huey, both Killeen ISD graduates. Olmstead and Huey were flying an Apache helicopter on Tuesday afternoon for a maintenance test flight when what the Army is calling a mishap occurred and they crashed near Salado. The crash resulted in a field fire that took 2 days to fully contain. KWTX has confirmed that Olmstead graduated from Harker Heights High School in 2019 before joining the Army in 2023. Huey graduated from Killeen High School in 2011 before joining the Army in 2014. KISD released a statement that said in part, Killeen ISD joins our Fort Hood and Central Texas communities in mourning the loss of Chief Warrant Officer Deontre Huey and Warrant Officer Seth Olmstead. Our schools and Fort Hood have been connected for generations, and we share in the grief of their families, friends, fellow soldiers, former classmates, and all who knew and loved them. We are proud they are part of the KISD family, grateful for their service, and know our world is better because they were in it. Army officials have clarified that the term mishap refers to any unplanned event that leads to damage of military equipment or injury or illness to active duty service members or civilians either working for the Army or visiting an installation. The Army also says they do not release the cause of mishaps to the public. Now, I was able to confirm with Army officials that this is in fact the 4th Apache to crash just this year. And they say that this is the only one that resulted in the death of a service member. At Fort Hood, Adam Schindler, KWTX News 10.
Thanks, Adam. While the cause of this week's fatal crash could take 6 months to a year to determine, there have been other crashes beyond Central Texas that have put military aviation in the spotlight. Here's News 10's Olivia Hertzberg.
Records from the U.S. Army Combat Readiness Center show that 3 years leading up to fiscal year 2023 actually marked the lowest aviation incident rate in military history. The U.S. Army's website reports that in April of 2023, 2 Apache helicopters collided mid-air during a training mission in Alaska, killing 3 soldiers. Less than a year later, in February of 2024, an Apache crashed near Boonville, Mississippi. The Mississippi National Guard's website confirmed that routine training flight cost the lives of 2 of their soldiers. Now, we've reached out to Fort Hood officials for specific details on Wednesday's crash, and we'll bring you those answers as soon as they are released. Reporting in studio, Olivia Hertzberg, KWTX News 10.
Lawmakers throughout Texas have taken to social media to express their condolences to the families of the 2 soldiers killed. Governor Greg Abbott posted, "Join Cecilia and me in prayer for their families and the entire Fort Hood community. Texas is forever indebted to those who serve our state and nation."
Senator John Cornyn said, "My prayers are with the families of those lost in the Apache helicopter crash outside Fort Hood and Salado. I'm grateful for the military and the civilian first responders who are on the scene." U.S. Representative Wesley Hunt, who was previously stationed at Fort Hood, said, "As a former Apache helicopter pilot, this tragedy especially hits close to home. Emily and I are praying for those we lost, their families and loved ones, and the entire Fort Hood and Army aviation community that's grieving tonight."